Hello everybody, as you've seen from the thumbnail, you know we're going to be making this gorgeous beanie. It's super fast, super easy, and I think it just looks fab. So join me for this project and let's get started. So what we're going to need for our project, again, this is my beautiful box that my sister made me. So we're going to need our yarn. So I'm going to be using this gorgeous baby. It's like a yellow with sort of cream and white yarn. So the recommended hook size is 4mm. So that's what I'm going to be using. So that's my 4mm hook. Okay, I'm going to just put those to the side. We will need scissors. And I'm also gonna be using measuring tape, which we're gonna need, a stitch marker as well. We're gonna need a yarning needle, so get yourself one of those, and a little label as well that you can have and to put on your project. I've bought this on Etsy. If anybody's interested, I'll put the link for them as well. And that's pretty much it. So let's get started, guys. So I'm quickly going to show you what we're going to do with our project. So we're gonna start with a base, and our base will be the magic circle. In the magic circle, I'm gonna do 8 single crochet because I'm gonna do a children's hat. If you're doing a grown-up's hat, you might want to do 10. Then we're gonna double those stitches in row 2. In row 3, we're gonna do another set of increases by a third. Then row 4, we're going to increase by 4th, row 5, increase by 5th, and so on. Now, because I'm making a children's hat, these are the dimensions that I'm going to be looking at. So I'm going to be making a hat for a child 6 to 12 months. So I'm going to be looking at my crown to be around 12 centimeters. If you are making an adult hat, you might want to increase the crown further. Well, you're going to have to. And you're going to be looking anything between 15 and 20 centimeters, depending on the adult size. So I'm going to leave these for a second. You can pause the video if you like, just to get those dimensions. And yes, let's get started. To start on our project, we're going to have to do a magic ring. So to do the magic ring, we're going to wrap the yarn around our finger like so. So you make sure you've got this X. Insert a hook underneath that first loop, pick up a loop, and then pick up another loop with the working yarn and pull through. Okay, so that's our magic ring. As you can see, if you pull on your tail, the magic ring will get smaller. But for now, we just needed a little bit of space in that magic ring because we're gonna make 8 single crochets. As I said to you guys before, if you're making an adult hat, you're gonna need to make 10. So insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through, and that's your single crochet. Go ahead and place the stitch marker there. Okay, and make 7 more single crochets, and I'm going to meet you once you have your 8 single crochets. We're going to connect those together with a slip stitch and start on row number 2. I've made 8 single crochets in my magic circle. What I'm going to do next is take my stitch marker and I'm going to do a slip stitch into that first chain there. Okay, so pull up a loop, okay, and put that loop through both loops like so, okay, and go ahead and chain 2 for now. And you can actually pull the tail to basically tighten up your magic ring, and there you go. So you're not really going to have any gap in the middle there. Some of you might actually prefer the gap to be like that, but this is totally up to you. Okay, so we're gonna start on row number 2. This chain 2 will count as a double crochet. So what we'll do for row 2 is we're gonna double the stitches. The way we're gonna do that is we're gonna do double crochets, well, 2 double crochets into each of those stitches. So if you've done 8 single crochets, at the end of row 2 you're gonna have 16 double crochets. If you've done 10, at the end of row 2 you're gonna have 20. As I said, this chain 2 will count as a double crochet, so go ahead and place your stitch marker on there so you don't lose track of it. Okay, and yes, let's do 2 double crochets into each stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook to that first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. You've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so go ahead and put 2 double crochets into each stitch, and I'm going to meet you once we come to the end of row 2. We're going to finish row 2 together, and then we're going to start on row number 3. Coming towards the end of row 2, all I'm left to do is to do the last double crochet like so. Now I've got 16, and I'm going to connect the last double crochet with a slip stitch to the chain 2 that we've made at the beginning. Okay, and there you have it. Row number 2 is complete. So go ahead and chain 1, and for row number 3 what we'll do is we'll do further increases. So we have to increase this by another third, which means that if you've started with 8 single crochets, you need to increase it by another 8. If you've started with 10, you're going to increase it by another 10. How are we going to do it? We're going to start this with a front post double crochet. To do a front post double crochet, you're going to run yarn over, insert the hook at the back of this pillar here like so, yarn over, pull through. You're going to have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, and go ahead and place your stitch marker there like so you don't lose that. Okay, next we're gonna do 2 double crochets into that next stitch. Okay, so in this next stitch we're gonna do 2 double crochets. Then in this next stitch we're gonna do another front post double. So yarn over, got the back of that pillar there, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, then the next stitch, which is going to be this one here, don't know if you guys can see it, but it's that one there. So the next stitch we're going to do 2 normal double crochets. So that's 1, and go ahead, do 1 more. And this is the pattern that you're gonna follow all around this row 3. You're gonna do a front post double, then 2 double crochets in the next stitch, then front post double, then 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and so on. By the end of row 3, if you've started with 8 single crochets, by the end of row 3 you should have 24. If you've started with 10, by the end of row 3 you should have 30 stitches. Go ahead, continue with this pattern, and I'm going to meet you once you're towards the end of row 3. We're going to finish row 3 together, and we're going to start on row number 4. So I'm coming to the end of row 3. I'm finishing that with 2 double crochet in my last stitch. That's how you should finish as well, regardless of whether you've done 8 or 10 single crochets at the start. So let's connect this with a slip stitch to that front post double crochet that we've made at the beginning, and chain 1. What we'll do for row number 4 and any other row that we're going to make is we're going to continue making this front post double crochet. So every time you've got a front post double crochet, you're going to just continue with that pattern. So let's make a front post double crochet into this first stitch to continue with that pattern, and pop in your stitch marker there. And then we're gonna need to add another double crochet in between the 2 front post double crochet. So at the moment we've got 2, so do a double crochet into that next stitch, and in the stitch after we're gonna do 2 double crochet into that stitch. So let's do that again. We're going to do a front post double in the next stitch, double crochet in the stitch after, and then 2 double crochets into that third stitch, and we are back to the front post double crochet. So continue on this pattern all along row number 4, and I'm going to meet you once you're coming to the end of row 4. We're going to finish this row together, and we're going to start on row number 5. So coming to the end of that row, you will finish this row with 2 double crochet into that last stitch, and we're going to go and connect this with a slip stitch to that front post double crochet that we've made at the beginning, and we're going to chain 1, and we're going to start on row number 5. So you're going to start noticing that there's a pattern forming here, and you're going to continue with this pattern until you have the crown your desired size. So let's start row number 5 by putting a front post double crochet as our first stitch. Go ahead and place your stitch marker there, and we're gonna do a double crochet into that next stitch, then another double crochet into the following stitch, and into this 4th stitch we're gonna do 2 double crochet into that stitch. So this is the pattern that you're gonna be following all along this row. So you're gonna follow the front post double crochets like, okay, front post double crochet, and then just before you get to the other front post double crochet, you're going to do 2 double crochets into that stitch. Now, as a guidance, I'm just going to give you the measurements for my crown at the moment. So my crown at the moment is about 8 centimeters. I reckon it's going to be 9 by the time I finish with this row. And I'll give you the measurements again. So for 6 to 12 months, I need my crown to be 12 to 13 centimeters. So I reckon I need to do another 2 rows maybe. But if you're making a hat for an adult, you might want to continue with our rows further. So keep on doing this. Just remember that you're going to do a front post double every time you come to a front post double, and then you're going to do an increase just before each front post double. The increase will be 2 double crochets into that stitch just before the front post double. I hope that makes sense. So go ahead and do your rows, and I'm going to meet you once we have the crown our desired size. So ahead again, guys, if you want to pause the video and have a look at the sizes for the adults and for toddlers and babies, this is the crown in centimeters that you're gonna need. So go ahead and continue your work on your crown, and I'm gonna meet you once you finish your crown, and we're gonna start building on the height of our hat. I'm coming at the end of row 6, so I have completed 2 more rows after I left you, and I'm just going to connect my end with a slip stitch, and I'm just going to chain 1 and pull, and I'm going to show you the size of my crown at the moment as it stands. So it is about 12 centimeters, as you can see, and this is perfect for the size that I'm making. If you are making for an adult, you might want to continue maybe for a couple of more rows. So let's start on the body or the height of our hat. We are going to continue on this pattern, so go ahead and make your front post double. As I said before, we're going to continue making the front post doubles every time you come to one, and we are not going to make any more increases, which means that you're going to continue with double crochets on every stitch in between the front post doubles. And every time you come to a front post double, you're just going to continue with that pattern. So go ahead and start your next row for the height of your hat. Front post double, then double crochets until the next one, then another front post double, double crochet, and so on. Keep on doing that until you have the right height for your hat. So these are the dimensions. So for me, I'm going to be looking at about 15 centimeters. If you're making one for an adult, you might be looking at 19 to about 24 centimeters. So go ahead, make the height of your hat, and I'm going to meet you once you're about a centimeter away from the desired height, and I'm going to take you through the next stage of our hat. So I've come to the end of my row 13. Just need to do the last double crochet and then slip stitch it to this first chain, and I'm gonna chain 1, pull my yarn just to show you the height of my beanie. Okay, so I've got about 12 centimeters on mine. Now if you're making a beanie for an adult or for an older child, or maybe even a younger one, you need to do the dimensions for that age. So if you're doing for an older one, keep on doing a few more rows before coming to do the edging with us. Okay, how are we going to do the edge? So we're going to have that like a little curvature at the end. I would recommend for you guys to, in between the front post doubles, to have an odd number of stitches. So I've got 5. Try to have 7 or 9 or 11, because that's going to be easier and it's going to look much nicer when you're doing the increases. We're going to start this row by doing a front post double crochet like we've been making all throughout this beanie, and go ahead and pop in your stitch marker right there. And the way we're going to do the increase is we're going to skip the first stitch, so that's this one here, we're going to skip it, and in the next one we're going to do a mini shell, which is going to be 3 double crochets into that same stitch. So you're going to do 3 double crochets into that second stitch. Now we're going to skip one, and in the next one, so skip one stitch, and in the following stitch you're going to do another mini shell, which is going to be 3 double crochets into that same stitch. And okay, so that's my third one. You're going to skip one chain and you're going to continue making your front post double, and this is the pattern you're going to follow all around this row. So keep on going, and I'm going to meet you once you are at the end of this row, and we're going to start the next row together. I'm just going to quickly show you that our work, you will notice it's starting to curve. So I don't know if you can see that. So it's starting to curve, so we're going to do a little bit more so it come a little bit further up. So keep on going, and I'll meet you at the end of this row. We're going to finish this row together, and then we're going to start on row 14 if you're, well, this is 14, on row 15 if you're doing it exactly like I am. So I've made my last shell there, so I'm going to skip one stitch and I'm going to slip stitch to the beginning, and we're going to make the next row, which is going to be another row of increase. We are not going to do many of these, but nonetheless it's just going to be a row of increase. So go ahead and make your front post double crochet like we've done all the way. Pop in a stitch marker there, and how we're going to do this row of increase is basically we're just gonna still make shells, but we're gonna make them with 4, and go ahead in the middle of that shell. So we're gonna skip one, and in the middle of that shell we're gonna make another shell, but this time we're gonna put 4 double crochets into that stitch there. So that's 3 and that's 4. We're gonna skip 2, and in the middle of the next shell we're gonna make another shell with 4 double crochets. 3 and 4. And this is the pattern that you're going to be following all along this row. So go ahead and make your front post double and continue with that pattern. And you're going to notice that your edging has curved even more, and I believe it looks very cute. So go ahead and finish that row, and I'm going to meet you when you come to the end of that row. We're going to finish that row together, and then we're going to do the next bit of our beanie. I'm coming to the end of that row now. All I have to do is just to slip stitch it to that first stitch like so. I'm going to chain one and do my front post double crochet there. So this row again, it's going to consist of shells, and this time rather than doing 4 double crochets in the same stitch, we're going to do 5. How we're going to do it? So we've got our shell consisting of 4 double crochets, so we're going to make our next shell in here, so right in the middle of that shell, so it's going to go there, and we're going to make a shell consisting of 5 double crochets into that space. That's 2, 3, 4 and 5. And then the next one will be in the middle of the next shell, so it's just going to be there, and same thing, so we're going to make 5 double crochets into that space. That's 3, 4 and 5, and the front post double, which is just there. Now continue with this pattern, and I'm gonna meet you once you're coming to the end of that row. Right, I'm at the end of that row. Let's just slip stitch it to that first stitch. I'm just gonna yarn over, pull through, and that will be it, guys. So let me just have a look how much I've got. I'm gonna cut my yarn, and that's our beanie nearly complete. Now, as I said to you before, if you want to do a little bit more of this sort of like a frilly, I don't know, curvy thing, you can do another row of increase. Just remember to put, rather than 5, you can do a shell of 6, and yeah, why not give it a go, see if you like it. Next thing we're gonna do is I want to make like a little ribbony thing that's gonna go like across, and I'm gonna do that using a green yarn that I've got, and we are also gonna make some flowers and some leaves as well. To start with the ribbon, we're just gonna make basically a simple chain, and it will depend on the size of your hat on how big your chain will be, so keep on chaining and just measure it as you go along. But basically it's just a simple chain like this, and I'm gonna weave it in, and then I'm gonna make some simple flowers. They're not gonna be very big because my hat is not big. You can check my flower tutorial as well if you want to make bigger flowers. I'm gonna leave a link in the description box below for it. If not, we can just make a simple little flower, and I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do that as well. So keep on chaining if you want to have the little ribbon, and we'll do the flower and the leaves in just a second. As you can see, I've completed my little ribbon there, and I have weaved it in, and this is the last row before we did all our increases, and I have just tied it in on the back. I'm going to weave in this ends at the end, so at the moment I'm just going to leave them like this. Okay, so next we're going to do a few leaves. These are very simple to make. I didn't make anything too fancy really, so I've just done 3 and I'm going to show you how I've done that, and then we're just going to make basically just a simple flower as well. So what I did for the leaves is I made a chain of 11 plus 1. So if you like to make them, go ahead and chain 12. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 11 plus 1. In the second chain from our hook, we're going to make a double crochet, and if you want you can actually put a stitch marker there. I didn't really bother because this is a very simple leaf and it doesn't need to be perfect because nature is, well, it is perfect but not always. Okay, so that's a single crochet. We're going to make another single crochet, so 2 single crochets. Then we're going to make 2 half double. To make a half double, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into that next stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. Okay, we're going to do another one, another half double. Then we're going to do 3 double crochets into the next 3 stitches. So go ahead and do that. So that's 1, that's 2, and oops, sorry, and 3. And we're going to repeat what we've done previously, but we're just going to mirror that. So we're going to do 2 half doubles and 2 single crochet. So that's 1 and 2 half double, and we're going to do 2 single crochets just to finish that off. And what we'll do next is we're going to repeat this on the other side of our chain. So what I like to do is just to chain 1, and then in that first stitch from the other side we're going to just repeat this pattern. So you're going to do 2 single crochets, 2 half double crochets, 3 double crochets, and so on. So just repeat what we've done but on the other side. Okay, so this is the last single crochet. Okay, I'm going to chain 1, and I'm just going to make a slip stitch to this first chain there. And next, I don't know if you guys can see, but these are just the little, let me just pull that through. You can see from our original chain where we've done, there you go, where we've done our stitches. So in these bits here, right in the middle, we're going to do slip stitches, and that's going to give us this sort of like lovely line on our leaf. Okay, so let's just do that. So insert your hook at the back there like so, and do a slip stitch. Oops. Okay. Pull through and do a slip stitch, and continue going just in the middle, inserting your hook in the back there and just making those slip stitches there. And then once you finish, you can just cut your yarn. I would actually suggest for you guys to leave a little bit of a tail when you finish, because then you can use that to secure your work to your beanie. Of course you don't have to, you can just use another piece of yarn afterwards to do it, but I find it easier if you can just leave a little bit of a tail to do that. So continue making your slip stitches, and I'm gonna meet you once you are finished, and we're gonna finish our leaf together. I'm coming to the end of my leaf. I'm just going to insert my hook into that chain one space that we've made earlier. I'm going to slip stitch it, chain one, and then cut my yarn and pull through, and that's our little leaf there. Now what I'm going to do with these leaves is I was thinking of maybe putting some at the top of my hat like that, and then I'm going to have another one on the side somewhere with my flower. But you can decorate your beanie however you want to, guys. You can make lots of leaves or just on one side with lots of little flowers, or maybe just one big flower. It is honestly totally up to you. Okay, so we've done the leaves, and now it's just time to make a couple of little flowers. I'm going to be using this leftover pink yarn that I've got and this red one from a previous project. And how we're going to start our flower is we're going to do a magic ring. So wrap your yarn around your finger like so, insert the hook onto that first loop, pick up a loop like so, and just pick up another loop from the working yarn and pull it through. We're going to do 5 single crochets into this magic ring. So go ahead and do 5 single crochet into your magic ring, and we're gonna finish this row together and start on row number 2. This flower is going to be very simple, so it only has 2 rows. However, I will leave a link in the description box below for another flower that I've made earlier, which is a little bit bigger and it's a little bit more lush, I feel. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, I need one more. And then once you've finished, if you're going to be using a different color yarn for your flower, so if this is the middle and you're going to be using something else for the petals, now is the time to swap with the other yarn. If not, just do a slip stitch into that first stitch there. So because I'm going to be swapping to this red one, I'm just going to take it and do my chain 1 or the starting chain, and when I slip stitch I'm going to be pulling this red one. I find this transition to be the best when I'm doing crocheting, but it's totally up to you. However it is you do yours, that's absolutely fine. And just chain 1 for now. I'm gonna cut this pink yarn here, so I've got the tails there. I'm going to try my best to just weave in the tails, but I'll see how I get on. Okay, so each of these stitches will be a petal. Our petals will consist of half double, so we're going to do this all into that one chain. So do half double crochet, then we're going to make 2 double crochets, so that's 1 and 2, all in that same stitch there, and another half double into that same stitch, and that's your first petal completed. We're going to repeat this pattern of half double crochet, 2 double, and another half double crochet into each stitch, all around this row, and we're going to finish the row with a slip stitch and then weave in the ends. I'm going to let you do that, and then we're going to decorate our hat and see the end results. Thank you all for joining me in making this beautiful beanie. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you like my tutorial. I think it's just gorgeous, and You can actually decorate it with other things. It doesn't need to be flowers. It can possibly be some butterflies maybe to the sides. That's another option. Actually, I might do a little tutorial for how to make butterflies. But I hope you liked it. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel, like my video, so you don't miss any future posts, and I'm gonna see you very soon. Thank you and bye bye.